Every once in a while, you just want to blast some dudes and watch the blood paint the walls. In-game, of course. This is Otxo, released in 2023 by Lateralis Heavy Industries, a one-man team who developed the game as well as composed the music. I only know it's pronounced Otxo because the Steam page told me so. This is a top-down shooter roguelite where the action is fast, until it's slow. You kick doors while you kick ass, and the only rule is kill everything that isn't you. Unless it's you. Or is it you? You spend your time inside the mansion, an ever-shifting battlefield with enemies behind almost every door. Bullets are how you say hello, and the only respite you have from the blood and carnage is a drink at the bar in between areas. The carpet bears a striking red rose pattern, perhaps in reference to the rose given to us before the madness began. The bar serves as a shop of shots which stops your thoughts and asks, "What you got?" This is where you get passive abilities to aid you in your runs that last until you die. You can get stuff like extra health, faster firing rate, more damage, and a few others to keep runs interesting. You can restock if you don't like the alcohol on display, but the prices go up as you get deeper into the mansion, so sometimes you're better off just saving for the next round. The lady on the couch is an importer of sorts. She'll provide the bar with more alcohol if you provide her with money. You can unlock some pretty useful drinks, but you'll need to be feeding cash to her between runs for quite some time before you get access to everything. The nun that shows up will display all of your available weapons as well as their statistics. You have the option to turn off guns you don't want to use, and this also affects the weapons that the enemies will be able to use against you. I opted to leave all of the guns on for maximum chaos factor. First one's always on the house. Make sure you drop your gun before you ask for service. Gameplay is pretty much what you would expect from this style of game. You kick down doors and blast everyone on a level with whatever weapons you come across. You have the option to use focus, which is essentially a slow motion advantage. However, without the proper perks, this gauge will deplete quickly and refill slowly, so you can't always rely on it. Kicks are a one-shot kill and come in handy more often than not, just due to the fact that you can kick while reloading, which saved my ass more than a few times. You also have the ability to dodge roll and vault certain obstacles, which gives you a bit of invincibility to catch your breath. You can also throw your gun at enemies, but I found this kinda hard to hit with, so I only used it in emergency situations. Enemies will swarm you constantly. They have a decent enough AI that only gets more rough as you progress. The enemies can have modifiers added to them like super armor or increased bullet velocity. Couple that with some of the most powerful weapons you can unlock and it becomes a recipe for disaster. Each new level that you progress through adds different types of enemies that will continue to show up for the rest of the run. You need to think on your feet, and sometimes with your feet. This is an example of how I thought you should be playing the game. And this, in my opinion, is how the game is meant to be played. As it turns out, cowering like a little bitch is quite the effective strategy. Once I got a firm grasp on the mechanics, it was just a matter of throwing myself at the mansion over and over again until I could get a run going. It takes a bit of memorization of what the different enemies can do and how bad they're going to fuck you. I especially hate the guys who shoot goop everywhere because it lingers for an uncomfortable amount of time and makes for some sticky situations. Don't even get me started on these lizard things. Every once in a while you'll come across some strange rooms with documents in them giving a bit of backstory as to what's going on. These rooms have an eerie quality to them, like a glitch in the mansion or something. This lends further to the feeling that reality is a bit skewed and brings about a bit of curiosity as to what's going on in this place. The bosses are all pretty straightforward, surprisingly. They have fairly simple patterns to react to, and it's more of a question of, do you have the right guns and alcohol for the job? I like that they put guns outside of the boss rooms, but you can get some drastically different results depending on what you bring to the fight. Sometimes DPS isn't a problem, you can just pace the battle accordingly. Other times you need something that hits hard or you're going to have a terrible time. I found myself just abusing focus and trying to get as many hits in at a time as I could. It took quite a few runs to unlock all the stuff I needed to start progressing further. Due to the randomness of the different shots and stuff you can get, you end up in situations where you may get an incredible start to the run, or you're just treading water waiting for a good perk to finally hit the bar. Personally, I love the shot that gives you dual wielding. Couple that with the increased slow-mo and damage perks and you have a recipe for fucking shit up. The deeper I got into the game, the more dependent I became on good alcohol. I feel like there's some sort of analogy here. Regardless, I found myself constantly shuffling the bar to get good perks, and that shit gets expensive as you get further into the game. Nothing hurts worse than finally getting a good set of perks and completely bungling your run because you got stuck on a couch or something and died to a basic enemy. I'd say overall, this is a pretty solid game. The mechanics are sound, the soundtrack is bumping, and the moment-to-moment gameplay is visceral. I think my only main complaint is the things like vaulting over objects and throwing weapons can be kind of hit or miss. I found that effectively using doors and just poking around corners was far more effective than actually trying to play aggressively. You'll get a lot more mileage out of making noise to draw enemies into a bottleneck rather than trying to rush a dude who has a gun far more powerful than your own. Give this game a shot for sure. It's a super fun way to spend a few hours. Just know that it may take a while to get a good enough run to make it to the late game. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna get to the heart of this mansion.